which almost, very good, Terry, we almost forgot that.
I knew I was going to forget it. I'm sorry, but we are recording this and I'll post it afterwards. And I also forgot to say to everyone attending, Jeff's going to be sharing the slides as well. So I'll probably be sending that out afterwards along with a link to the video. So.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, on the business side of things, we have to be worried about all the data that we store and keeping that safe and secure and private for our customers. Then also just your own business's personal information. Identity theft as a whole is still the fastest growing crime in the United States. There's more money lost to identity theft than all other property crime put together. And we all had an interesting last 16, 17 months with COVID, and there's a lot of extra government money out there in the form of unemployment benefits, small business loans, paycheck protection loans. Bad guys took advantage of those situations. They are so interested right now in stealing your business's information so they can get their hands on that money. Before COVID, business identity theft was already on the rise, but it has skyrocketed in the last year and a half. So with that, let me just switch screens here. There we go. We're just going to cover what is business identity theft, how it happens, how these individuals try to get that information once they have it, how they use it against us. And then bear with me through the first part of the presentation. It's kind of the bad information, if you will, the scary stuff. But then we do wrap it up at the end with some things that you can do to protect yourself and your business and your customers. Oh, what is business identity theft? Well, it's simply criminals posing as you or employees of your business, officers of your business, in order to get cash, credit, loans. We know that they're after money. That is one of the main sources of business identity theft, but not the only one. There's also bad actors out there that just want to create chaos, want to maybe steal trade secrets, lots of different forms of this type of identity theft. Oh, I got to fix this slide. Don't know what happened there. So what do they want? What information they want? So on the personal side of things, you know that how important it is to keep your date of birth and your social security number private. And with a business, that information for the registered agent, very important. But then they're also interested in trying to get their hands on your EIN numbers and TIN numbers. Maybe your business has a DUNS number. Of course, passwords into your accounts. If they can get into your email system and kind of see how that communication takes place, it opens up your business to something called a business email compromise, or CEO fraud. FBI has now, I believe, said that business email compromise is the #1 form of attacks on businesses. We're going to talk about that a little bit more coming up. But everything that you see on the screen, if they can get their hands on this, they're then going to try to open up loans in your business's name, try to apply for those business loans that are out there from the SBA, those paycheck protection loans. A lot of, like I said, all that extra money that was made available, they're after it. And State of Wisconsin Department of Revenue just sent out letters to 20,000 Wisconsin residents yesterday morning, let them know that fraudulent business loans had been applied in their name. So that's probably that story is going to be hitting the news here soon. And there's a lot of fraud out there, and a lot of those counts have been flagged as fraud, but we haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet. Well, how does it happen? How do they get our business's information? Well, just like with your personal side of things, there's low tech and there's a high tech way that they do it. Low tech, if your business is throwing away any pieces of paper that has proprietary info on it, they'll steal it right out of the trash. So something to be aware of. Obviously, most people are aware of this. This isn't super secret information. Stolen mail. When you're mailing something, usually that means that bills are being paid or account statements are being sent back and forth. If they can grab it out of a mailbox or some kind of an unsecured system, they'll grab it there. Malicious employees, you always have to be aware of this. Somebody that comes into your business with the intent of stealing that information. That's a tough one to deal with because, you know, you give employees access to stuff, but you got to look at your own internal systems of what employees have access to what level, and you know, kind of protect yourself on that front. Then there's the high tech way that they get our information. So let's talk a little bit about that business email compromise and phishing on the next slide. Cyber attacks and the different ways that they attack businesses. We'll touch on the dark web. I kind of almost hate to talk about the dark web in these types of presentations because I feel it's almost like scare tactics, but unfortunately it's a real thing. I saw a live demonstration of the dark web earlier this year from an Orange County Sheriff's Department deputy, and it is just plain scary. The shady side of the internet where this information is bought and sold and transferred around, and once that information's out there, these criminals can get their hands on it. And then social networking, just like in our personal lives, you know, we have to choose what we share on social networking sites, and how these identity thieves are looking for information that we share out and how they can use that against us. So business email compromise, like I said, I believe the FBI has classified this as one of the #1 threats to business right now. They can get into your systems and kind of see how that email communication takes place, and who is who in your company, and who has the authority to pay bills and transfer funds, and they will kind of get in there and they'll just monitor that, and then when the time is right, they'll strike and they'll send out an email, and it looks like it comes from the boss or the CFO or the CEO, somebody high enough up that has authority to do something like this. And it has the right verbiage because they've been kind of watching your business. Really scary. I had a chance to listen to Frank Abagnale speak a few years ago. He was in Madison. You might have heard of him. He's the famous Catch Me If You Can scammer guy from the 70s. They made the movie about him with Leonardo DiCaprio. So he now works for the FBI, and he said that business email compromise emails that come across his desk just crazy good at how they word some of this stuff, and it looks just like it comes from the person sending it. Just like with caller ID, email addresses can be spoofed, or if you look at this one here real close, Sam.Jones at, instead of ABC Bank, it's ABD Bank. If you don't look at that really close and you're rushing around, you just miss that one little thing, and you can't tell that this didn't come from the right email address. When you look at emails on phones, a lot of times it doesn't even show you the email address. It would just say the name of the person, Sam Jones. So if you just make one little mistake and you trust an email like this, and all of a sudden pay a bill or transfer money to a charity, or some kind of an electronic transfer, I've seen stories from businesses that have lost just an incredible amount of money to this type of identity theft. The best advice I can give you on combating something like this is that anytime that there's a request for money to be transferred or a bill to be paid, have some kind of a two-factor authentication. So don't just trust one form of communication like an email, then follow up with a phone call, or require something else to do before somebody just pays this bill, and then later you find out that it was just a scam. Other things that can come into the office, the old phoner scam. They'll just send fake invoices for toner cartridges for the copy machine, or paper, or office supplies. I saw one where they sent out bills for updating your credit card machines to take the new EMV chip. They're usually fairly small bills, $100, $150, $200, hoping to kind of fly under the radar that somebody has enough authority to just pay that type of bill without getting higher authorization. Just scams. So all comes down to training your employees, on what to do and how to handle that, who has the authority to pay those bills, and then looking at the bills that come in for the month and making sure that they're all legitimate, so that your business is not just handing out money to the bad guys unknowingly. All right, so why me? I hear from a lot of businesses that we're not huge, we have one office, or we have, 10 employees or less, or it might even be just you as the business owner. You might not even have any employees. I can't stress this enough. If you have a computer and it's hooked up to the internet, you're being attacked. It's not necessarily somebody out there that says, I'm gonna look up this business online and let's see if they can break into their computer. It's all automated. But once that computer is hooked up to the internet, there's bots out there, and they are constantly looking for vulnerabilities. So if you make the one mistake of not having, the correct antivirus, anti-malware, firewall protection, not have your computer updated, if there's some kind of a vulnerability, it's crazy how fast these bots can find it. Within just a matter of hours, it can be located, and if it can break into your system, they don't even know which system they broke into. They don't know that you're just a business of one person, or maybe they just broke into a business that has 30,000 employees. But once they're in, and then they're going to see what they can find. Obviously, one of their biggest motives is making money. If they're able to break into your computers, ransomware is the new #1 form of malware that they'll try to get into your computer systems. So ransomware, I'm sure you've heard of it. It will just lock your computer down. No way to turn your computer back on. You can't hold the power button for 10 seconds. You can't reboot it. It's just the computer is completely locked. All you get is a screen with a blinking cursor asking for a security key to unlock that computer. Well, then they demand money from you, ransom, in order to give you that security key. If your computers are all networked together, ransomware will spread amongst your computers. So some things to do to combat that would be to have systems backed up, and have those backups not hooked up to the network. So hard drives that are standalone systems, or computer backups that are not hooked up to Wi-Fi, not hooked up to the cloud, not hooked up hardwired to the network. Right? So in case a computer gets attacked, a computer can be wiped, and just have a new operating system installed on it, and then you can take that backup system and reinstall your data without having to lose it. They're tricky. Some of this stuff is time delayed, so they'll try to wait until you hook those backups systems back to the network, and they're crafty with how they get this software to kind of spread around the system before it actually invokes the attack. Sometimes they attack. Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt quick, but just did you want to field some questions during the presentation, or do you want to wait until the end?
Either way. I see that you put a thing in the chat that people can put questions in the chat. I'll try to pay attention and see if I see something pop in there, or did something come up?
Yeah, well, this seems relevant to what you're talking about now. A lot of these smaller businesses don't have IT departments, and they're struggling with trying to maintain this. Is there a recommended way to protect? In other words, there's the different protection programs out there. Is there one that's recommended over another to keep current on your system that you've run across?
Not necessarily one recommended over another. I mean, there's lots of good antivirus, anti-malware, anti-pop-up software out there. I'm not here to necessarily tell somebody how to configure a firewall or something like that, but I'm certainly sensitive to the fact that yes, a business owner that is just 1 or 2 employees, somebody might not be the IT expert, if you will. So just some making sure you have something on your computer, making sure that you have backups that are not hooked up to the network, to help kind of hedge your bets in some of these areas. But it's worth it, for everybody to kind of seek out something, so contact a computer service in your area, or maybe a network of business owners, and find out what your other business counterparts are doing to protect their systems. Unfortunately, I've heard directly from small business owners that, yep, ransomware happened to me, and it cost me $10,000, and I had to pay it, because if I didn't pay it, I was going to lose all of my software and all of my data, and it would have basically put me out of business. And those are just horrible stories to hear. There is cybersecurity insurance that businesses can purchase. I don't want to get into the political side of things, but you know, the FBI says don't pay the ransomware because you know you don't want to pay the bad guys because that just encourages this behavior. Unfortunately, I've heard that some of the insurance companies that are out there will actually recommend just paying the ransom because it's the fastest way to get your business back up online. City of Atlanta got hit with ransomware a few years ago, and they decided not to pay, and they were just going to rebuild their computer structure or infrastructure. I think like $17 million later, they were still rebuilding their computer systems. And then there's lots of other examples. There's small towns, you know, right here in Wisconsin that have been hit with ransomware, and you know, some of them paid to get back online, some did not. I mean, it's a personal decision, but if you have a backup not hooked up to the network, it's much easier to recover from this. If you ever open up your computer and your computer is in a different language, or you see some weird thing, the best thing you can do is just disconnect it from the internet and just don't do anything. Call an IT expert immediately. Sometimes even trying to shut down or hit a button on the keyboard can cause more damage. So just disconnect it from the internet and just stop, take a step back and call an expert. But you know, it's hard for those of us that are not IT experts, and even the experts out there. I mean, the bad guys are always coming up with new forms of attacks. You know, it's just I hope to just, you know, make everybody aware that some thought should get put into this and save you a lot of headaches further down the road. Don't just attack our computers to make money. They may also do it to make a statement. You know, I don't know exactly what business everybody is in who's listening to me right now, but you know, if your business might be something that they just attack you on some kind of a principle level, or they just want to crash your website. Lots of different forms of attacks that are out there. May try to steal trade secrets. If you're part of infrastructure, I was doing this presentation a couple of years ago, and somebody was here from a power company, and he was telling me how they get attacked all the time, and they're not trying to steal money or data or anything like that. They're trying to crash the system to make the power grid go down. Similar to like what happened on the East Coast this year, where you heard about that pipeline was shut down for a number of days because of that cybersecurity attack or cyber attack. So lots of different forms of you know, computer attacks. You know, we could be on this slide for a long time talking about all the ways to protect, but you know, it's just something, you know, look into it. You know, if you do have an IT person or company that you work with, you know, just make sure your computers are up to date. You know, take away the low hanging fruit. You know, make sure that they're not outdated, and that you actually have a firewall and an antivirus and an anti-malware and anti-pop-up software. And then train your employees as well, so that they don't accidentally click on links in emails and open up your computers to these types of attacks. Here's some just daunting statistics from the state of Wisconsin. These are from, I think this was 2019. I don't have the 2020 numbers, but crazy number of malicious emails that are filtered out. 9 out of 10 emails that the state receives are malicious. So I can tell you how many emails I get in my inbox every day. And if you're telling me I'm only seeing 1 out of 10, I mean, that's crazy. Password attempts to break our passwords, 188,000. So I think there's about 39,000 state employees. The real kind of simple math is, you know, every couple months somebody tries to break my password at the state. And that's not because the state is a huge organization. Like I said, it's just because we have computers hooked up to the internet. Once you make that connection, they're going to start, you know, those bots are going to start attacking. And sometimes they make it through. Even at the state here, we've had phishing emails that'll make it through to our inbox, and it looks like it comes from another state agency. And that's where it comes down to employee training, to not click on those links, not call those phone numbers back, not to click on a button that you have to put in your username or your email address and a password. Because then you're sending it to the wrong people, and you're just opening yourself up to more and more problems. All right, I mentioned the dark web earlier. Like I said, I saw a live demonstration of this, some scary stuff out there, kind of the ultimate black market, if you will. There's lots of other stuff on the dark web, but related to the context of this presentation, when there's data breaches, if they're able to break into business computers and get chunks of data, often the first place it goes is the dark web for sale. You've heard about data breaches, like the big Equifax data breach a couple years ago that affected half the US population, 150 million records of name, date of birth, and social security number. But medical records are on the dark web, financial records, old passwords. So bad guys know when it comes to password that most people, use a base password, and they just have a number at the end of it, and that number goes up by 1 every time they have to change their password. And often in the business setting, it's recommended that people change their passwords often, and employees will sometimes do simple things like that in order to remember their passwords. So then when somebody finds an old password on the dark web and it has a number at the end of it, what they do is just start trying that same password and increasing that number. More likely to be able to guess our passwords like that. The bad guys can buy new forms of ransomware and malware programs on the dark web in order to attack business. Just a lot of stuff that's out there. Social security numbers are out there, the PIN, the EIN numbers, the business information that the bad guys are going to need to try to apply for loans from either financial institutions or the government. Scary stuff. All right, social networking. This one we choose to kind of participate in. A lot of people have personal social networking accounts. A lot of businesses have social networking accounts, and you're sharing out information, you're trying to promote your business, but bad guys can sometimes use this information against us. So we recommend that you limit, kind of sharing or personal information, or sharing personal posts with business posts. Kind of keep those two things separate. If there is a personal post, mark it as private, where your business post might be more public. I can kind of share one example of how this backfired on a CFO of a company up in Minnesota. Individual had a big Twitter presence and liked to play in high stakes poker games out in Vegas. And so, tweeted out that he was heading to Vegas and he was going to play in this poker tournament. And it was pretty easy to figure out the dates and times of the poker tournament and some of the, the details of the itinerary. So about when his plane landed, and he was using a business phone, it was also his personal phone. It was just an individual that just carried one phone, didn't have them separate. So about when his plane landed in Vegas, he gets a text message from an unknown number, but the text message said that this was the tournament director for this particular poker tournament. So it made sense, and that there was an updated tournament schedule, and there was a link. So the individual clicked on the link to open up a PDF that showed the new tournament schedule. But in doing so, by clicking on that link, it allowed the bad guy into the phone. And this was also a business phone. It had the individual's email account on there. Well, the CFO proceeds to start playing poker. And if you've ever played in a poker tournament, what don't they let you have with you? A phone. Phone's got to be shut down. And he was in this poker tournament for about 3 hours. It was about 15 minutes after the poker tournament began. An email was sent from that account back to the home office, and it was from the real email address because they had access to the CFO's actual email account. That, hey, I'm in a poker tournament, so I'm not going to be able to respond to this, but I need you to transfer $250,000 to this account, immediately, and I can't remember the rest of the details, but you get the gist of it. About 3 hours later, the individual busted out of the poker tournament, checked his email, and found out that his company lost $250,000 because he clicked on a link in an email or in a text message, all related to him posting something online about playing in a poker tournament. So it's called social engineering. They're crafty in how they can take, some kind of a a real basic looking tweet about playing in a poker tournament, and look how they were able to craft that into a way to attack this individual's business and steal real money. So anything like this that you're sharing, the names and titles of people, work patterns, email addresses, delivery schedules, pickup times, things like that. All that little information, it just takes somebody's imagination to start to figure out how they could put something together to attack your business. With your phones, obviously, we just talked about a phone incident. We recommend not mixing business and personal. Of course, keep your phone updated, keep it locked. On the personal side and business side of things, you want your phone to be locked because smartphones just have an incredible amount of information. So go through the process of having that fingerprint or facial recognition or a code or a pattern you have to type in so that in case it falls into the wrong hands, somebody doesn't have access to all of that info. Look at your policies of who can install apps on your phones. With iPhones, things are pretty well locked down. Apple is closed source, so that you can only install apps from the App Store. But different apps, require different permissions. And some of these apps out there want to have access to everything. Certainly with Android-based phones, you don't even have to go to an app store. You can go right to a www. Whatever website and download an app right from a website. And again, you don't necessarily know, who runs that app and what that, is giving the developer access to on all of these phones. And then obviously I've kind of worked from the bottom up, the SMS, text messaging, clicking on a link and how easy that can open you up to vulnerabilities. With computers, obviously, if you're transmitting sensitive information like, either customer information, credit card information, personal information of any sort, you want to make sure that whatever website that you're connecting with is HTTPS. A lot of people have been told to look for that. Everybody knows that S means secure, it means that that's an encrypted transaction. But also, just don't mistake the S for meaning that website is legitimate. It's been vetted out by the internet police, if you will. You guys can create fake websites. You can get free SSL security certificates for their websites, which give them the HTTPS, and they do that in order to fool us into being more open about sharing information. So the S just means that nobody else can see what you're sending to that website. It's encrypted, but you're still choosing to send it to that website. So, if you're using company credit cards to make, a purchase online and it's, maybe a website you've never done business with before, just take an extra step to make sure that website is legitimate. And one of the best ways to do that, put the name of that website into an internet search engine and add the word scam or fraud and hit search. See if there's a whole bunch of other people that tried to buy something from that website, never got their product, and now they're complaining about it online. Also, you can search out how long a website's been around. Maybe an online retailer that's only been around for a month or two, maybe not as trustworthy as one that's been established for 5 or 10 years or more. So, you can kind of help make your some better decisions by doing a little bit of research. I think we covered the rest of this, antivirus, anti-malware, firewall protection, be aware of pop-ups on your computers. Passwords, login policies, look at what how often your employees are required to change their password. Are they allowed to use old passwords? How long does that password have to be? Combination of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, letters, symbols. The longer the better. Generally, I think Terry, did I share out some handouts? Did everybody get handouts, or did I not share those with you yet?
You did share them. I didn't I didn't make them available to everybody, but I can definitely follow up as I follow up with the recording and all that. I can send that stuff along with that.
Excellent. So there's a fact sheet that I'll make sure that everybody gets sent about passwords and how to create a good, strong password that's hard to break. Unfortunately, there are computers out there that their jobs are to just break passwords, and they can attack your systems, and they can, I think it's like 40 million passwords a second they can try, and it's just a numbers game. So they're just, any kind of password that's in plain English, and doesn't have that combination of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, letters, symbols. These hacking computers can break it in just a matter of seconds usually. Look at whether your business uses a VPN or not, a virtual private network. Really important if you're going to be connecting to Wi-Fi while you're away from the office. If you're, you go down to the local coffee shop and you're going to do some business, sometimes it's hard to tell whether Wi-Fi is secure or not. And it's really easy for a malicious actor to create a fake hotspot that looks like a legitimate Wi-Fi signal, but somebody that's just trying to get you to hook up to their hotspot so they can steal your information. And I have a fact sheet I'll send you out on Wi-Fi as well. And then obviously just keep your computers updated. That Equifax data breach with 150 million US records from 2017 that I mentioned earlier, it was an out-of-date computer that Equifax just didn't update. It was just that one simple little thing that put all of those individuals at risk of having their information exposed. All right, so remember the dumpster divers? Well, shred it before you throw it away. Pretty simple. A lot of people know about shredders. There's 3 shredders on the market. The ones that just make the spaghetti strips that, we could all probably put that puzzle back together. When I was listening to Frank Abagnale speak from the FBI, he told us that there are now computer programs out there that with micro-cut shredders, I'm sorry, not micro-cut, cross-cut shredders, the ones that chop them up into the little diamond-shaped pieces of paper. I'll actually take a picture of every one of those little pieces of paper. It takes a computer about 8 or 9 hours, but it can actually put that puzzle back together. Crazy stuff. But then there's also micro-cut shredders on the market that'll chop your paper up into a smaller than a grain of rice. And there's nothing that can put that puzzle back together. The best news is they all cost about the same. So if your business is in the market for a new shredder, I'd recommend a micro-cut shredder, or make sure you're shredding a whole bunch of stuff so it all gets mixed up with each other. Even though there's a program out there that could put that puzzle back together with a cross-cut shredder, that's an incredible amount of work. That would be that somebody is specifically targeting your business for some reason. Somebody might be stealing your mail, or take the important stuff right to the post office, or make sure your business has a locking mailbox that only the postal carrier has access to. Enabling 2-factor authentication, or let's talk a little bit authentication keys. So when your employees log into their systems, do you only require a username and a password? Or do you require some kind of authentication key that also has to be plugged into the computer? If it's just a username and a password, if that information gets compromised, somebody else can access your system. So there are different, there's little USB authentication keys. There's 2-factor authentication where a phone rings and it gives you a code to complete the login, or you get a text message with a code to complete the login. Some extra layers of protection that can lock your login systems down a little bit more. We talked a little bit about passwords. I urge people to look into password managers, because how are we all supposed to remember 164 different passwords for all of our online accounts? Whether we're talking on the business side of things, we're talking on the personal side of things, collectively, we just have probably hundreds of usernames and passwords that we have to remember. Password managers will remember them for you. All you have to do is remember one master password, and then it will automatically create, organize, and fill in all of your other passwords for you. I don't want to go too much into the IT side of things, but don't store your passwords up in the cloud, if you will. So I'm not going to say that they're immune from a data breach, because I'm skeptical. I just think everybody could be, eventually the bad guys will figure out a way to do something, but password managers only store them locally on your devices. This is why it's really important that you don't forget that master password, because if you forget that, you might lose all your passwords. But because they only store them locally on your devices, it's really well protected. It's a really well thought out system. FBI recommends using password managers. All the IT professionals that I know recommend it. And like I said, all you have to do is remember one good, strong master password, and then it will do all of the rest. I jumped into using one of these about 2.5 years ago, and my passwords are 25 characters long. I could put one up on the screen right now, and nobody would even be able to remember it. It's just a crazy combination of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, letters, symbols, and it allows you to have separate, unique passwords for all of your account. The fear is that when you use the same password for all of your accounts, it's just making it too easy on the bad guys. They break into one account and then they're going to try that password everywhere else they can think. Obviously, the more places it works, the more damage they can do. You can verify your business at Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. So I'm sure you're aware of this. That's where you went and registered as an LLC or a corporation. Make sure that registered agent is correct. Make sure that somebody hasn't gone in there and tried to change an address or anything like that. Those are red flags that somebody's trying to get some information on your business or change where the mail is going, and probably next step is they're going to start applying for loans in your business's name. Just like on the personal side, you can check your business credit reports. So here's some of the major credit reporting agencies when it comes to business. I'm sure you've heard of Experian and Equifax. You may also be familiar with Dun and Bradstreet. Your business might have a DUNS number. Unfortunately, for businesses, there's no way to freeze a business credit report. So on the consumer side of things, I tell consumers every day, freeze your credit. We recommend, freezing credit for children all the way up to our oldest seniors, so that somebody cannot open up a new line of credit in an individual's name. For a business, there's no current way to do this. So if somebody gets a hold of the correct information, is able to get a hold of a bank or financial institution and successfully fool that financial institution into thinking that they're talking to you, the business owner, well, really they're talking to this identity thief. A loan could get opened up in your business's name. Also, not so great news for business is that unlike personal credit reports, which are free, on the personal side of things, you can actually check your credit report for free every week right now through next April. Your online credit report. Business credit reports, not free. Sorry to break that news, but of course they want your money, but it's worth it to check your business report or credit report just to make sure that there's nothing unusual out there, that there's no loan applications or lines of credit applications. Not a bad idea to review it now and then, just to make sure that nobody else is up to no good. Just a couple slides left here for you, and then we can look at questions. Any of this, your business might be under attack, and somebody might be trying to commit one of these crimes against you. So you start noticing unauthorized charges on your business cards. You start getting, all of a sudden there's an influx in these emails that are not coming from your actual employees. Somebody's probably into one of your computer systems. You check DFI's website and out that your name has been changed, or an address has been changed, or you find out that somebody has used your name to try to open up a business in another state. You're the victim of a data breach, and there's a whole different presentation that we have on data breaches and some of the laws that are in place about how businesses need to respond to that and notify consumers. But obviously that means somebody got into your computer system. Of course, ransomware, malware installed. Somebody might have clicked on a link and opened you up to some vulnerabilities. You find out about business loan applications. Bill collectors start calling for loans that you didn't even know that were out there in your business's name. Generally, the Bureau of Consumer Protection doesn't get involved in business transactions, but identity theft or business identity theft is one of the exceptions. So if any of this happens, or at the bottom of the screen there, you apply for a line of credit in your business's name and you get denied, and you find out that there's all this other stuff out there on your business's credit report, time to file a complaint with us. We will mediate this on behalf of businesses. We'll try to work between you, financial institutions, the other companies and businesses and credit reporting agencies that are out there that might be holding these fraudulent accounts. And we will work to try to close those accounts down, get that off your business's credit report, and help your business recover from this and get back into good standing. Here's my information. Email is listed, our website's listed. You can file identity theft complaints right through our website, or just call that 1-800 number. That's our consumer protection hotline number, Monday through Friday, 7:45 to 4:30, and we'd be happy to answer any questions for you, email you out fact sheets, send fact sheets to you in the mail, send you complaint forms in the mail, or email them. Just a great resource to get more information. With that, I will toss it back over to Terry. Thank you so much for everybody's time this morning. I don't see any questions in the chat, but now would be the time if anybody wants to, unmute and ask a question or type it in the chat. I'm open to audio that.
Jeff, I have a question while people are still maybe digesting some of that. Is there a thing that you see the most of within your job that people should really watch out for? What's the most common thing that people tend to either fall for or get attacked by?
I'd probably say phishing emails. Eventually an email is going to make it into your inbox, and like I said, some of those nowadays, they just look so good. And if either you or an employee just makes one mistake about clicking on a link, that then opens the door for ransomware, the malware, the keylogger programs that they put on your computers to try to steal usernames and passwords, opens up your computer to them viewing data files, and you might have to report that you're a victim of a data breach. It's just a lot of it starts with phishing.
Okay. I see a few comments coming in about good and helpful presentation. That's great. Glad.
Yes, thanks for the kind words.
You mentioned something, Jeff, about now through April about a credit report. What I kind of missed that. I don't know. Is there a timeline to something that's happening in April of 22?
Yeah, so it seems to be in response to COVID at the three major credit reporting agencies on the consumer side of things, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Generally, they let you view your personal credit report for free once every 12 months. So then our recommendation has always kind of been like stagger it. Every 4 months, check a different report, and it gives you nice coverage throughout the year. But during COVID, they actually, all three of them have made your online credit report for free, available for free every week. And originally that was through this last April, excuse me. They've now extended it to April of 2022. So on the personal side of things, there's just no excuse not to check your credit report. It's free every week. You can go take a look at it online. And we certainly recommend consumers do that just to make sure there's no activity out there that you don't recognize. Unfortunately, I can tell you too many times we hear from a consumer that check their credit report and they see this account out there that they have no idea where that came from, and it's just a matter of time before somebody at the other end doesn't pay a bill, and then the bill collectors are going to start calling that consumer up.
Great. Any other questions for Jeff while we have him here online?
Perfect example. So a message came in from Kirk. Yeah, I mean, you can see it at all different levels. How easy is it for somebody to make a free Gmail account? They just use your name and send something out asking for gift cards, and they sent it out to everybody, it sounds like, and yeah, they almost got 2 of them to bite. Perfect example of phishing. They just casted out a bunch of bait, and they almost got 2 bites. It's almost a numbers game for them. I took a call on the consumer protection hotline earlier this year of a brand new employee that fell for almost the exact same thing. They had just started in this job, and then got an email from the boss to go buy some gift cards and do this thing with them. And they're brand new, and a brand new employee doesn't want to upset the brand new boss, and they don't know that this was out of the ordinary. Maybe this is a thing that happens, and of course the email said they were going to get reimbursed for the purchase of the cards, but we all know that as soon as they gave those gift card numbers over the phone, that money's gone, and there's obviously no reimbursement coming, and unfortunately that employee just lost money. So yeah, anytime the conversation involves gift cards or wiring money, huge red flag that that's a scam.
Yeah, I've been getting lately, something I've seen more of is bills of lading, and you have to send in this information and pay this invoice, and obvious that it's not right.
Yeah, but then, you have to, as the business owner, you have to sort through that, because obviously you don't want to miss paying the real bills. And so now you have to just create more work for everybody. Yeah, it's frustrating, but again, thank you everybody for attending, because it's something that we all need to think about.
Great. Well, I will follow up and have the recording available for everybody on our YouTube channel. And I'll follow up with some additional information, including the slides and a couple of the handouts that Jeff had mentioned. And Jeff, thanks so much for taking the time to educate us on this.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. I'll send over those that PowerPoint and double check that you got all the fact sheets that you should have.
Great. Thanks everyone for attending. And I'll just selfishly make a plug here for the EDC also has another presentation coming up. This one's going to be in person at the Browntown on September 14th regarding housing. So we're going to have a guest speaker. Seth Hudson is going to be the guest presenter there. He's an expert in his industry, just like Jeff is. And that is going to be a breakfast meeting on September 14th at 8 o'clock at the Browntown. So if you're interested in the housing and getting more housing into our area, definitely encourage you to come to that. And you'll also see some email about that coming out in the not too distant future. But thanks much for attending today. And thanks again, Jeff.
All right, thank you so much. And well, I'll quick plug myself too. If anybody wants to reach out to me directly and schedule a presentation like this at your business, for your employees, for your customers, we do identity theft. There's some other topics out there that I can let you know what we all talk about, and be happy to work with you to put something together for you and your business.
Great. Thanks again, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.